Once there was a guy who wasn't in school and didn't have a steady job. He hadn't had a haircut for almost 5 years. And he wasn't living anywhere in particular. I'm that guy. I'm a writer, filmmaker, and former composition teacher. But mainly, these days I'm pretty much just another random person on the street. And there's no good reason for you to listen to anything I have to say. But this is the internet. A natural oasis in the Sahara surrounded by palm groves, Marrakech is sometimes called the Red City for its rose-colored clay buildings. Originally built sometime around 1070 by the Almoravid dynasty, the city was recently chosen by UNESCO as the 2024 Cultural Capital of the Islamic world. Today, Marrakech receives more tourists than any other part of Morocco, who come to experience life inside its ancient walls, including food chefs like Gordon Ramsay have called the best in the world. But I came to Marrakech for the stories. I'm arriving at the 3rd Marrakech International Storytelling Festival, where over 100 storytellers will share myths and folk songs from cultures all around the world. A major trade destination for caravans during the Middle Ages, Marrakech has been a cultural crossroad for almost 1,000 years. According to the writings of 14th century Maghrebi explorer Ibn Battuta, caravans crossing the Sahara on the way to Marrakech could contain as many as 12,000 camels, loaded with gold, ivory, and spices for trade between civilizations like the Ghana Empire and Phoenicia. Stories told between these ancient cultures formed the basis of countless folk tales, many that would later be included in Alf Layla wa Layla, or the 1001 Nights. Marrakech storytellers have traditionally met in Jama al-Fana, the central square in the Old Medina, or Arabic for city. The square is located between the famous Kutubiyya Mosque and the Madrasa Ben Yusuf, an ancient Islamic university where you will also find the Almoravid Huba, the oldest building in Marrakech. Over centuries, travel between these main destinations developed into a series of tightly winding souks, or marketplaces, with Jama al-Fanal near the center.
Once upon a long time ago, in this beautiful city of Marrakech, there lived a man. A very old man.
Omar Belaarej is a storyteller in Marrakech who specializes in Moroccan folktales and history.
Back in the time where the nomads crossed from other places and came and have a race in Jamal. They have 3 things that they need to have: a place to stay, to have food, and then entertainment.
Storytellers in Jama al-Fanal operated on a schedule, almost like different channels on TV. Some tellers were known for comedic stories, while others focused on romances, histories, religious prophets, and more. Many stories centered on the previous travels of members of the caravan, which often included elements that stretched the imagination.
When we are traveling the world or we are nomad, when we are having rest, we tell ourselves when we are gathering in a place, where did they come from? I came from Tangier, we came from Rabat, I came from here and there's other places, and you can tell stories that you face and that you meet people in your journey. And sometimes people lie.
When I arrived in Marrakech, the only thing I knew about the festival was that it began at noon on Saturday at the World Storytelling Cafe and would last all week. The World Storytelling Cafe hosts the festival in collaboration with the Storytellers Union for Cultural Innovation and takes place at different venues throughout the city. Baden Prince, a UK-based storyteller born in Antigua, has been part of the festival since the beginning.
5 years ago, the World Storytelling Cafe was being set up. Plans were made, foundations were dug, and then COVID hit. Put a stop to everything, but the cafe went online. And in the process, introduced storytellers from all over the world to one another.
It turned out that the first event at the cafe was an orientation for official storytellers, but I didn't realize that and joined the group, even though I hadn't registered. In some cases, it might be better not to ask for permission to become a storyteller. Although the festival features a full week of storytelling in the square, in recent history live storytellers have disappeared from public spaces like Jama' al-Fanal. Since being declared a UNESCO masterpiece of the oral and intangible heritage of humanity in 2001, storytellers no longer perform in the square. Some have argued that the recognition from UNESCO became the kiss of death to storytelling performances, and that Jama' al-Fanal is now in danger of becoming a historic relic for academic studies and sightseeing, instead of continuing to exist as a public space for evolving folklore.
Nowadays, unfortunately, and very sad to say it, we have zero storyteller from Jama' al-Fanal. We do have storytellers in Marrakech that tell stories in private dinners, in festivals, in other places, but in Jama' al-Fanal Square, zero.
Except this week, the storytellers are coming back. The festival officially begins with a parade procession through the souks that ends in Jama' al-Fanal. Locals and visitors dance through the narrow streets with one common purpose:
to reclaim the square for storytelling! We're starting a non-stop storytelling. What's it called? A world record. A world record!
The Guinness World Record attempt for the longest continuous story circle will take place over 5 days and nights of non-stop storytelling. The most recent record was set at this same festival 2 years ago.
First thing I want you to know about Guinness is that we have a fire over there over the arch. It will keep burning as long as we tell stories.
A dinner is held on the first night of the festival for all official storytellers, a dinner during which I realized I wasn't officially invited. But even after I figured it out, I was having too good of a time to leave. I managed to crash pretty much every after party throughout the rest of the week. Not that I really needed to sneak into anything. Events at the International Storytelling Festival in Marrakech are free and open to the public, and include talks and workshops by live storytellers, performance artists, and more. The schedule could sometimes feel as confusing as the surrounding streets, but I always found a way to end up somewhere interesting, even if it wasn't where I intended to go.
I honestly didn't know anything about the festival when I came out.
I know you were saying you came just randomly, you came or you were invited or you knew something and you just found your way here. You were going somewhere else, weren't you?
Yeah, that is correct.
Do you know anybody who's...
I do not know a single person here.
For those of you who have not met me, my name is Durga Devi Palanisamy, but you can call me Diji. I come from a tiny little island called Singapore, and now I live in Melbourne, Australia. And this is my story for you. Ready? Yes.
I'm sure it's a bad angle of me, but am I like in the shot there?
Yeah, you're alright.
I'm alright?
Yeah.
I'm surprised. There's gonna be just a lot of mistakes in this YouTube video, but it's a really chaotic atmosphere. Yeah.
But that's the whole point of it, I think, isn't it? It's finding the story within the chaos.
Being able to pay attention to a story when you're surrounded by distractions takes concentration. Research from the Fukushima Journal of Medical Science has suggested listening to a story can engage the brains of children more than other forms of entertainment, such as picture books. During festival mornings, groups of storytellers visit local schools to share music and stories from around the world. We had an hour and a half set to fill, so even though I wasn't officially on the schedule and I hadn't rehearsed anything ahead of time, I did my best to share the stories and songs of my people.
Well, I hear that train a-comin', it's rolling round the bend, and I ain't seen seen the sunshine since I don't know where I'm stuck in some prison. And time keeps dragging on.
This felt more than a little awkward, but the kids were nice enough to clap along.
But that train keeps rolling down to San Antonio. I tied one hook to one handlebar. I tied the other hook to the other handlebar, and very slowly began to ride with the gazelle on my back.
This was a tall tale I'd once heard about a deer, but I changed it when Omar told me the kids would be more familiar with another animal. Omar did a great job translating for me, but I don't think my story captured the attention of my audience like tellers who had come prepared. I asked Omar whether it was too late for me to learn.
It's not too late to be a storyteller. It never be too late to be a storyteller. In myself, in my journey, in 2 years, I became a storyteller by chance. I had nothing to do with storytelling. I was one of the volunteers from the Faculty of Arabic Language, and they asked us who wants to be like a volunteer to translate some tales, and there come a call and they say, we need a volunteer now in Henna Cafe, right now!
Even though he never expected to become a storyteller, Omar kept volunteering, and now performs every Saturday night at the World Storytelling Cafe.
When I was young, I was stuttering, but because of storytelling, and thankfully to storytelling, my voice is coming and getting better and better. So storytelling can heal you, and storytelling can give you this bahja, and bahja means healing and means joy.
Bahja is the theme of the festival this year, with workshops and story circles throughout the week dedicated to healing and joy. It's always been easy for me to find joy in stories, but easy to forget stories can actually heal people and make them feel better. I think the magic only works if you let yourself forget some things, the way the real world seems far away when you get lost in a book, movie, or any story.
He woke up in a high tower with the sun breaking through, and he stretched, and he looked out of the window, and there was a queue, not one.
Iris Skipworth is the two-time winner of the United Kingdom Young Storyteller Award and offers storytelling workshops designed to help build confidence speaking in public.
Maybe you could give me an abridged version of your confidence-building workshop, because honestly, I really don't like speaking on camera. And, and now I've like pointed two at myself.
And yes, and now you're having to focus and you're very aware of it. I am not overly aware of myself once I'm performing. I'm in the story. In order to describe the story properly and to tell it, I am seeing it. It's interesting, it's a sort of double vision, because I very much see the audience and I'm engaging, I'm making eye contact, I'm seeing a smile, I'm working out how to build a repartee, I'm working out how to interact with something and change. So I'm able to see them, but I am also, at that moment, walking through the story. Because I've not remembered a monologue, I've not remembered a drama script, I am not hitting my points and my stage marks or whatever. The story exists, I've boiled it down to the bones, but all the flesh in between each one is different every time. And those words might change, you might get interaction from the audience, you're asking for new details, but also it's different because it depends on your mood and the mood of the audience. If I know a story starts here and then something happens, in between, maybe the characters are going on a journey, I walk that with them. I am on the stage and I see it, and so I am describing the mountains or the sea or the sky or the attitudes and the conversation they're having, because I'm in it and I'm re-walking it every time, and so the language is different. And that means I'm a lot less nervous when I'm telling, because I've got that double vision. I can see the audience, but I'm not stuck for words. I'm not trying to remember what comes next.
Camera.
Oh no.
No, I take photo for you.
No. I just want my own snake. But yeah, thank you.
Here at the Marrakech International Festival, we are geared up to break the world record tonight for the longest continuous cycle of stories ever told through oral tradition, at least according to the Guinness Book of World Records. The people behind me have been at it for the last 4 days and nights. Here we are Friday night and about to wrap up with the
My name is Baba C. I'm a griot master storyteller from Washington, D.C., United States of America. But right now I'm here in Marrakech, Morocco.
I'm doing a quick mic check, as I'm going to do between
My
all of
mic
our interview
sounds
check-ins.
nice. Check one.
Your mic does
My mic
sound.
sounds nice. Check two. Are you ready? Storytelling, whether it's written, oral, on film, radio, YouTube, they're great venues for sharing a wide variety of viewpoints and experiences. Telling stories, oral tradition is also a great way to do that, but it's very personal. The smaller the audience, the more difficult it is to do. That's been my experience. But the audience get bigger and bigger and bigger and larger, but whether it's a small audience or a wide audience, when you're sharing that oral tradition face on, you may be strumming someone's memory. You may be sparking someone's determination. You may be enhancing someone's strength. That's the power of telling these stories in person. Cameras are nice, films are nice, movies are nice because they can reach a wider, you can reach millions of people at one time. But the experience, the physical, the personal experience of being in the audience of a master storyteller or a masterful storyteller, that cannot be replicated.
None of the storytellers I interviewed memorized their stories word for word. Instead of treating narratives like lines to memorize for theater, live storytelling depends on improvisation and interaction with the audience.
I don't write my stories down, so my stories you will never hear the exact same thing twice, which is what I love about the oral tradition. It comes from inside. And especially now in the world where everything's just about, this brain rot and doom scrolling, and I'll tell you, I'm guilty of it on days as well, right?
Oh, I'm guilty of it most days, probably. There's a lot happening in the U.S. right now, and this whole week I've just been being in parades and dancing,
and tagine,
listening to stories. It's been great.
It's been great.
In the final hour of the Guinness World Record attempt, a crowd gathers around the main storytelling tent in Jama al-Fanal. When the moment finally comes, we celebrate with another parade and more storytelling. The final stories of the night aren't included as part of the official world record and are told and listened to purely for Basha. Later, a representative from Guinness World Records announces the results.
Guinness World Records. And now the moment you've all been waiting for, the final verdict. After carefully reviewing hours and hours of footage, you have achieved a total of 80 hours, 32 minutes.
So this is how you become officially amazing. Some are given black and gold robes, honoring them as golden storytellers, masters of their craft. But what else does it take?
Yeah, a storyteller needs to read a lot of books. This is the first thing, this is the basics. The second thing is traveling. A storyteller who will not travel locally or globally, he cannot be a storyteller because he needs to meet with other people, he needs to meet with other cultures, with other weathers. The weather can change your mind, and we need the muallims, so the masters. You need to be a student of a muallim so that he can teach you how to be a storyteller. He guides you to your journey, but the hard work you do it by yourself. So it needs time to be like a student, and the second time to be a master, and a third time to be a master of a master. And it takes a lot of effort and a lot of traveling the world, a lot of meeting with people, a lot of reading, and a lot of telling stories. Because a storyteller, all they need is telling stories. So this is the journey.
And now it's time to party!
الحكاية بدات في مكسيكو شوفنا في قطر هادو راح يقروا مروكو معرفوناش حنا خطر.
Putting your stuff in a backpack and traveling with no long-term plan isn't a lifestyle that works for everyone. But for some people, I think it can be. And if you've already been thinking about it, I think you should. So if you're ever in Marrakech, go to Jama al-Fanal and ask where you can find storytellers. You may not find any in the square, but if enough people ask, maybe the storytellers will come back someday. And if you can't find any storytellers in Jama al-Fanal, you could always take the short, confusing walk to the World Storytelling Cafe, where you'll find performances every week.
I told him, butcher, can you please give me a big knife? And the butcher told me, well, I need insurance that you will give it back. So I cut off my head and I gave it to him.
You've got to leave your head somewhere. Basha from Marrakech to wherever you keep yours.
حنا خطر